The story doesn't really begin with the dollar figures. It begins with the way Shadur Sanders thinks. Long before the headlines, before the shockwaves across the league, before the debates about whether a young player should even be having these conversations, Shadur was already looking past the surface of every deal placed in front of him. To him, contracts were never just about cash. They were about control, leverage, and longevity. That mindset became crystal clear when Gatorade came calling, not with a modest endorsement, but with a massive 3-year, $60 million offer that would have been an automatic yes for almost anyone else in his position. For most athletes, especially rookies still trying to prove themselves, that kind of guaranteed money represents security, validation, and peace of mind. For Shadur, it represented something else entirely, an opportunity to rewrite the rules. Instead of accepting the check and walking away, he focused on how the deal was structured. Buried inside the negotiations was a clause that would change everything. Shadur didn't just want to lend his face or name to the brand. He wanted ownership in what his influence helped build. That equity clause ensured that his value wouldn't expire when the contract ended. It preserved his stake, his interest, and his power long after the ink dried. By claiming a 3% ownership stake in Gatorade USA, Shadur turned a short-term endorsement into a long-term investment. In an industry where athletes are often paid once and forgotten, he positioned himself to earn for years, possibly decades, as the company continued to grow. Gatorade generates billions in revenue annually, and even a fraction of that engine creates returns that dwarf most traditional endorsement checks. This wasn't about money now. It was about money forever. What made the move even more shocking was the timing. Shadur wasn't riding the momentum of a legendary on-field resume. He hadn't yet had the chance to fully establish himself as a dominant NFL force. While other rookies were locked in on playbooks and depth charts, Shadur was making one of the boldest off-field decisions the league had ever seen. The NFL world took notice immediately because this wasn't just smart. It was revolutionary. The deal sent a clear message that draft position, playing time, and even early career uncertainty didn't define an athlete's worth. Vision did. Strategy did. Understanding business did. This wasn't an isolated moment either. Long before the Gatorade deal, Shadur had already proven that he knew how to leverage attention and anticipation. Before ever taking a professional snap, he secured a record-setting contract that turned heads across the sports world. The figure alone felt unreal for someone so early in their career, and skepticism followed instantly. Critics questioned whether he had earned it, whether hype had overtaken substance, whether the brands backing him were taking a risk. Shadur never flinched. He understood that brands weren't betting on past performance. They were investing in reach, relevance, and cultural impact. The moment he stepped onto the field for preseason action, that belief paid off. A special clause activated, doubling the value of his deal overnight and launching his earnings into territory few athletes ever reach, let alone at the start of their careers. What separated Shadur from everyone else wasn't just the size of the contracts. It was the structure. He didn't settle for surface-level endorsement terms. He secured a significant share of his jersey sales, ensuring that every fan who bought into his name directly contributed to his empire. While other rookies celebrated modest sponsorships, Shadur was quietly building income streams that placed him in an entirely different category. He was outpacing bigger names, higher draft picks, and more established prospects, proving that business savvy often matters more than draft night expectations. Behind all of it was a consistent philosophy. Sports is a business. Perform, produce, and understand your value. Shadur leaned into that truth without apology. He never treated football as separate from entrepreneurship. Instead, he used the platform of the game to amplify everything else he was building. Apparel lines, food brands, tech partnerships, gaming collaborations, and high-profile alliances all became part of a larger strategy. None of these ventures were random. Each one expanded his reach into a new market, reinforcing the idea that his brand extended far beyond the field. One of the most powerful forces behind this approach was prime equity, a concept rooted in experience and foresight. Designed with guidance from Sanders, prime equity ensured that Shadur retained full control of his image and likeness. In a league where players often surrender those rights the moment they sign a contract, this autonomy was rare. It meant no approvals, no shared profits, no limitations on who he could work with or how. Every deal he made belonged to him entirely. That freedom unlocked opportunities most athletes never get access to, especially so early in their careers. The results spoke for themselves. Before officially playing an NFL game, Shadur shattered records in merchandise sales. Hundreds of thousands of jerseys sold, numbers that rivaled and surpassed those of players drafted far ahead of him. Fans weren't just buying fabric with a name on it. They were buying into a story, a mindset, and a future. His brand resonated because it stood for something bigger than football. It represented independence, ambition, and a refusal to play by outdated rules. As his influence grew, so did his portfolio. Major corporations lined up to align with him, drawn not just to his athletic potential, but to his business instincts. Partnerships with global brands added another layer to his empire, reinforcing his image as the modern athlete who understands that careers are short, but ownership lasts. He wasn't waiting for retirement to figure out his next move. He was building his foundation in real time, using every opportunity to strengthen his position. The Gatorade deal ultimately became a symbol of everything Shadur stands for. While others saw $60 million, he saw upside. While others saw security, he saw scalability. By choosing equity, he tied his success to the growth of a global powerhouse. Every expansion, every product launch, every market gain now benefits him directly. It transformed a 3-year agreement into a lifelong stake and solidified his reputation as one of the most forward-thinking figures in the league. What makes this story so compelling is that it's still unfolding. Shadur Sanders isn't a veteran reflecting on past achievements. He's a young player still developing, still learning, still grinding. Yet he's already operating with the clarity and discipline of someone who understands the full scope of his influence. He's proving that athletes no longer have to choose between excellence on the field and dominance in business. With the right mindset, they can do both, and they can do it on their own terms. Shadur is rewriting the blueprint for what it means to succeed in modern sports. He's showing the next generation that knowledge is just as powerful as talent, and that ownership is the ultimate form of leverage. His story isn't just about football. It's about foresight, confidence, and the courage to bet on yourself when the world expects you to play it safe. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think more athletes should be prioritizing equity over guaranteed money? Or is Shadur Sanders a rare exception who truly understands the long game? Is this the future of sports business, or a risk most players shouldn't take? If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more deep dives into the business moves shaping modern sports, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop your thoughts in the comments.